The British Pest Control Association says the UK is in the grip of a ratflation crisis, with a number of rodent infestations needing to be dealt with on the rise. Across the country, there were more than 250,000 home visits to people dealing with unwanted rats and mice last year. That's the equivalent of nearly 750 a day. And these days, only a quarter of local councils still offer pest removal. In most of Worcestershire, you can only get council help with pests if you're on benefits, and Herefordshire offers no domestic pest removal service at all. So it means people with a pest problem have to rely on private contractors to help. We've got one of those on the line. Phil Martin runs PGM Son Pest Control, covering Herefordshire and Worcestershire. Good morning, Phil. Thanks for your time.
No, it's fine. No, morning to everyone.
I thought you were going to say morning red fans, as a kind of an old tribute to Roland Rat.
But there's not many rat fans, I don't think.
No, I know. But of course, you wouldn't have any business without rats, of course. But the thing is, if you've got a rodent issue, if I go to my local DIY emporium, I notice that the apparatus to deal with rodents, those shelves are emptying quite fast.
Yeah, no, they are. A lot more people are trying to do it themselves, which is not a good idea.
Oh, really? Okay, so tell me about the call-outs then, Phil. Why is it good to get someone like you to come and do this?
Well, they know what they're looking for. They'll know what levels they're dealing with, and they'll know, or should know, the correct way of dealing with them. Obviously people are buying all the poisons and stuff like that. Well, that's probably the last thing you should be doing.
Okay, so let's find out what we should be doing. First of all, though, I want to ask you, are you noticing an increase in call-outs?
Yes, 100%.
And why are we seeing this increase? Why are we getting ratflation? What's behind this?
It's multifaceted. It's got to be multifaceted. I would say obviously the high levels of the council have really stopped doing a lot of removal of litter. I mean, we've all noticed that, bin collection, stuff like that. I mean, obviously they're pretty much sort of reducing their sort of litter collections, bin collections, stuff like that. The climate's changing. We can't deny that. It's definitely getting warmer, which obviously rodents will like. We're all living closer in proximity to each other, and that's mainly the reasons, I would say. And obviously a little bit probably of people not dealing with them, because the council don't do them anymore.
So you're saying about people not knowing what to do and how to deal with it and not what to look out for. So what should people be looking out for?
Well, they should be looking out for any sort of evidence, really. And that will be burrows, any run marks, any smear marks. Really, we would say any suspicions of anything. Most pest controllers, particularly that are worth their salt, will be more than happy to pop round and have a look and set your mind at rest. By the time you've gone down the local DIY store, bought the relevant amount of poisons you need to deal with, particularly a rat infestation, you should be able to get a local pest controller out to do it at a slightly dearer price, but certainly be doing it safer and properly. But you should be definitely looking for any burrows. That's the key, really.
Right, and can you describe what a burrow, anybody who's not quite sure, just describe what we'd be looking for with a burrow, where we would find one.
You would find one, particularly under decking, under sheds, under any sort of garden furniture that stays there for a long period of time. Look by your fence line. Look around there, because it could be coming from a neighbouring property and you could be feeding the birds. Remember, with a rodent, they're going to want food and they're going to want harbourage. So if you're feeding the birds, a lot of people also feed hedgehogs. Well, you don't know, you're not just feeding hedgehogs, you will be feeding lots of other mammals. So you've got to be mindful of that. So if you're doing that, be very, very vigilant about where you're putting these bird feeders and feed, and obviously looking around to see if there's any burrows, any digging, anything like that. I remember a rat will dig rats dig like dogs. So wherever they've excavated, there should be a pile of soil. So it's very easy to notice it.
Oh, blimey, they're getting as big as dogs as well by the sound of things.
In some places, yeah.
Yeah. I bet also, though, there's a bit of a stigma as well. People don't want to call rat inspectors and rat catchers for fear of being embarrassed that they've got an infestation, that there's an issue with their house, perhaps. And it's not always that, is it?
No. I mean, rats are a product of our environment. And they're commensal, so they have to live in and around humans. They always have done, so it's not done on a hygiene thing. It's not done because you're keeping an unkept house or an unclean house. It's purely the level of populations. Rats exponentially the population will get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, I'm not trying to worry you, but if you've got a population that is never dealt with, within a year you can have in excess of 2,000 rats.
Oh, you are worrying me now, Phil.
No,
But there's another worry as well, because they can be quite dangerous, and this is serious. The British Pest Control Association says 48 people last year taken to hospital. They were bitten by a rat, and it's not just about being bitten by a rat, but some of the stuff they leave behind if you don't see it and consume it by mistake. If you touch a surface and put your finger in your mouth, it's not going to be a very pleasant outcome.
Well, all you need to do is ask fishermen. I mean, fishermen are probably the biggest population group in this country to catch Viles disease, lesprestosis, lots of different names for it, because they're water-based and they're always cutting their hands in the water. But more and more people will be catching it with the high population of rats, because they will urinate in places, in puddles, in waters. Dogs will get it. Pets can pick up lesprestosis, Viles disease, and children. We all know, if we've got children, we all know children will always, particularly young children, will put things in their mouth. So you've got to keep your place good and clean. Keep an eye out for it. Once you've had a population of rodent infestation, it's probably always good to get it biocided. So again, you get a pest controller in who's going to treat the area with a biocide, will kill any pathogens that are in that area.
Because we've had this message from Emma, who's had to call a rat inspector. They live in a new build, and the builder didn't cap off the soil pipe under the sink. A rat wandered in. Despite having 2 cats, it still made itself at home and even wandered across the kitchen when I was on a Zoom call. We tried traps and bait. Nothing was caught, so we assume it went back the way it came.
Potentially it did, but then you've got to be looking, because obviously rats do predominantly live in sewer systems. A lot of the ones in Herefordshire and Worcester are very antiquated anyway. And there's no way we can really deal with that population, but we can certainly make sure, that we cap off any exposed drainage. I mean, there's lots of things in the marketplace now that you can put in the drains. So it doesn't need to be mega expensive. You can put what we call non-return valves in drainage systems that will allow the foul to flow out the correct way, but it won't allow anything to come in that way. That's why get a pest controller out. It really is important.